Have you ever felt like you're on a treadmill and someone just keeps cranking up the speed? You're running faster and faster, but you're not actually getting anywhere. Well, what if that feeling explains everything? Today, we're diving into something called the acceleration trap. It's this paradox that explains why moving faster than ever can somehow make us feel like we're falling further and further behind. Take a look at this. Does this feel familiar? You know, that feeling of being completely tangled up, just overwhelmed, where it feels like every single step forward just leaves you more and more exhausted? If you're nodding along, well, you're definitely not alone. And that feeling, that's our starting point for understanding what's really going on. I mean, just think about our world, right? It's completely built on this promise of speed. You've got groceries showing up at your door in, 10 minutes? Then there's the endless flood of messages, emails, all of them basically screaming for an instant reply. And it all adds up, doesn't it, to this constant pressure, this deep down assumption that faster has to be better. But is it really? So yeah, this whole obsession with speed, it's kind of created this huge illusion. And to really see through it, we've got to move past the abstract ideas and look at how this affects a real person in their real life. So let's talk about Neha. She's 45, an office manager, and for 15 years, she's been amazing at her job. You know, the kind of person who knows everything, the go-to expert. It was her pride. And then one day, the company introduces this new AI platform, Synapse. And just like that, tasks that took her a whole day, the AI does them in seconds. Imagine that feeling. Suddenly, all that experience, that hard-won expertise, it just feels fragile, almost worthless. And Neha's story, it really makes you stop and think. It forces us to ask a really important question. We're always celebrating speed and efficiency, right? But who's actually benefiting from all this acceleration? And maybe even more important, who's footing the bill? Who's paying the hidden cost? And that really gets to the core of it. This idea of acceleration, look, it's not good or bad in itself. It's more like a force of nature, like gravity. But it's a force that is completely reshaping everything, how we work, our relationships, even how we think. And here's the kicker. It doesn't affect everyone the same way. To really get what that means, we actually need to take a step back into history. You know, all this anxiety we're feeling about tech and jobs, it's not new. There's this powerful echo from history. And if we want to understand where we're headed, we have to look at where we've been. Specifically, we need to talk about the Luddites. Now, when we hear the word Luddite today, what do we think? Someone who hates their smartphone, right? Someone who's just anti-technology. But that's not the real story, not at all. The original Luddites, back in the 19th century, were incredibly skilled workers. These were artisans, and their entire way of life was being turned upside down by new machines. See, their fight was never really against the technology itself. It was, as this quote puts it, against the inequitable terms of its deployment. They looked around and saw a system where a few factory owners got all the benefits, all the profits from these new machines, while the people who had built their lives on their skills were left with absolutely nothing. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? They were asking the exact same question we are: who wins and who loses? So the Luddites give us a really important warning from history. But, and this is a huge but, this time is different. It's fundamentally different. What we're living through right now is a whole new kind of revolution, and it's not following the old rules. And this chart here really lays it all out. For a couple hundred years, industrial revolutions followed a clear pattern, right? First, you have machines replacing muscle power, then assembly lines and computers automating physical and then clerical work. But now, look at the fourth revolution, our revolution. The target isn't just our hands anymore. With AI, it's about cognitive and creative work. And that right there is the single biggest difference. Let that sink in. For 2 centuries, technology replaced our muscles. Now, it's replacing our minds. And that changes the entire game. Okay, so there are 2 things that make this moment so incredibly disruptive. First, the speed. I mean, it's just breathtaking. Past revolutions gave people decades to adjust. Now, new AI tools go global in a matter of months. There's just no time to adapt. And second, there's the scope. AI isn't just for the factory floor. It's aimed squarely at knowledge work, at the jobs of accountants, writers, managers, the very bedrock of the modern middle class. And all this incredible, exponential acceleration is on a collision course with one unbreakable limit, a biological one. Us, the human factor. 5 years. What is that? Well, according to the World Economic Forum, that's the average half-life of a professional skill right now. Think about that. Just one generation ago, it was more than double that. It means that everything you know how to do for your job is becoming obsolete twice as fast as it used to. No wonder everyone feels this constant anxiety, this pressure to keep up.
And that brings us right back to where we began, with that tangled up feeling. All our systems, our tech, our economy, they're all accelerating like crazy. But us, our ability to learn, to adapt, to just cope, that's not exponential. That's human. It's finite.
So that leaves us with maybe the biggest question of our time. What happens when the systems we build start accelerating faster than we can possibly adapt? The answer to that? Well, that's what we're going to get into next time.